and welcome to another episode of ILTV. I'm your host Lynn Ferrari, currently walking down the steps here. I'm recording this from the headquarters of International Living in Waterford in sunny Ireland. Can you believe I'm saying that? But the weather is so beautiful right now and we are really enjoying the sunshine. So today I'm excited to show you the episode I've recorded for you. I met with two very inspirational ladies, Dr. Sandy Hazelip and Ellie Hamby, and they are behind the blog Around the World at 80. They have just come back from an amazing around the world trip, which they took in 80 days. So on this episode, we get into their travel ethos. They share a lot of the same travel values we do here at IL. So I think you're going to find it super interesting. So I hope you enjoy the episode. As always, I'm going to ask you to hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And I hope you enjoy this really interesting chat with two very busy ladies who had to jump off really quick at the end for another exciting interview. So I really appreciate them coming on and taking the time to have a chat with me. And I hope you enjoy. All right, I'm really excited for this interview today. I get the chance to speak with both of you inspirational ladies, Dr. Sandy Hazelip and Ellie Hamby. You're very welcome to ILTV.
Thank you very much. Very happy to be here.
Great. Well, I know you've just come back from your 80-day tour around the globe, and I do want to hear about your trip, but something I'm really excited to talk to both of you about is really your travel ethos and the way in which you travel. I feel like it will really resonate to a lot of our subscribers to International Living and also the viewers watching here today. You share a lot of the same travel values that we have here at IL, just the way you travel in an un-tourist way, which I think is very interesting. So quickly, before we get to that, can we get a tiny bit of a backstory? I must say you both have a seriously impressive CV. Not gonna lie, I was so impressed with both of you. So Sandy, maybe we'll start with you. So you're a doctor, obviously, and I know that you both met on your mission work. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Yes. So maybe you can just tell me a little bit about your backstory, Sandy, first, just to give the viewers a bit of a backstory.
All right, I will quickly tell your viewers that I did not go to medical school young like most doctors. I was 39 years old when I started to medical school.
Wow.
And that desire to become a physician started because our son, my son, developed diabetes when he was 1 year old.
Wow.
So as I learned all I could about diabetes, I wanted to learn more about medicine. So when I was 34, I told my precious husband, I want to start to college.
I love that. Yeah.
And he said, well, honey, why? And I said, I want to become a doctor. He said, well, okay, let's go. And so it took me 5 years to get through college, 4 years to get through med school, and then all the training afterwards. So then my precious husband died in 1999.
So sorry.
And he had suggested before he got sick that we start taking our grandchildren on mission trips in the summertime. So I heard about Zambia Medical Mission, and I went on the Zambia Medical Mission and met Ellie and her husband, and that's how it started.
Love it. It's great. Oh my God. And so all the work you've done, even, in terms of, like, I was looking that you're the director of the Wingcrest Rehab Center. All of those fabulous things that you've achieved has been achieved since, I guess you were just went back to college at 34. That's really impressive, that everything you've done in those years. So congratulations. And so, Ellie, what about yourself? I know you're a documentary photographer, which sounds super interesting. What a title!
Yeah.
And then obviously you have your work with the medical mission. So maybe give us a little backstory on that.
Yes, well, we actually moved. My husband was a professor at the university, and we got this opportunity, though, to go to Zambia in the 80s, and we actually moved there to help with the school. And we built a hospital and have orphan care and several things. And we lived there for 6 years. I still have a house in Zambia that I will be there in June. And so I'm anxious about that. And then we started a medical mission. and he and I did it together, and it's been going on for 27 years. It's one of the largest medical missions in the world. We have a team of about 70 Americans and other countries, medical people from other countries, and joined by about over 100 Zambian medical personnel, and everyone's a volunteer. No one is paid.
Wow.
And we've been doing that. But my husband passed away suddenly in 2005. And so I became directing it. I have another person that helps me, but I am still the director of the Zambia Medical Mission.
Wow.
And Sandy and I became very close after my husband passed away, because she moved her practice to Abilene from 60 miles away where she was living, but she stayed where in Eastland, where her home was. And she called me one evening about 2 months after my husband passed away. And she said, I have a deal for you. She said, if you'll give me a bed 2 nights a week, I'll take you out to eat. Well, how many years ago was that, Sandy?
That was
18 years ago. She's here last night. So that's how we schemed and planned all of our travels, was those. We both stay up late, and late at night after she got off work and I was through, then we started planning different kinds of trips we were going to take.
I love it. So I guess you both had a love of travel. It obviously stemmed from many years of travel. So you had that in common. And so congratulations on that fantastic work, first of all. And so I guess I want to get to the trip, right? Because that's why it sounds absolutely incredible. But I guess, as I mentioned at the start of this, I really want to get into how you guys travel, right? So like, as I mentioned, you travel in that un-tourist way. I am going to link your blog below, because you've done lots of great interviews and you shared really good details on the actual trip itself, which I'll share below that people can check out. But first, obviously, as I said, I would like to get into kind of how you travel, right? So you travel in an un-tourist way, you immerse yourself in culture. You believe you don't have to, be rich to see the world. I love what you say on your blog, right? You say you're independent, second-class travelers. Your ventures are not planned by a travel agent, nor will you involve luxury hotels or gourmet meals. At 81, we understand that true importance and the real value of experience over culture. Yes to that. Love that.
Yes,
so has this been how you've both always traveled? Is that how you've always seen the world?
It's how we travel together. And Sandy and her husband, it's a different story.
My husband would not do budget travel the way I enjoy budget
Neither.
travel.
Now, my husband would. We started budget travel, doing that kind of travel, because out of necessity, we wanted to travel and we didn't have enough money to do, so we figured out, oh, wow, this will work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so, Sandy, so you fell into this style of travel after you met Ellie, am I right? So this is how you guys, yeah.
Yes. Ellie had told me about the trips that she and her husband had made, and I thought, well, that sounds wonderful. Yeah. So our first trip together that was not a mission trip, I just said one day, Ellie, my whole life I've heard about the Trans-Siberian train. Could we go on a trip together on the Trans-Siberian? Mm-hmm. So that was the first thing that we planned together. And I thought, this is the way to go.
And that was we did second class.
Of course.
And of course, we had a wild experience with the KGB and a murder, or not a murder. We call it murder on the Trans-Siberian, but because we were witnesses to a crime. We're not sure what it was, but
something
KGB
happened.
Came in. And we're searching everything, took all of our information for us to come back and testify, because there was a man in our car that apparently was arrested and had done something. And we were apparently the only witnesses to the crime. And of course, when the KGB comes and we gave them what they wanted, but they never called us back to testify.
Well, and that didn't stop you from taking more adventures.
That was fun. That was fun. I love the story. It was like, oh man, wait till you hear this story.
So our second trip was to Southeast Asia. And we first flew to Singapore and stayed at the YMCA.
That was a great place to stay.
So good. I've actually stayed in the YMCA before too when I was in college. It was great fun. Yes.
And then we took trains through
Malaysia to
Thailand.
And
then we flew over to Cambodia. And then from Cambodia, we rode a public bus to Vietnam with chickens on board our public bus with us, you know.
Yeah. 13 hours, but it was great. We made it.
We had fun.
Yeah, I actually...
And it cost less than $15 too. That was a real find.
Those buses, I did one in Thailand. It was 24 hours, I think. And I'll never, ever forget it. I remember we watched some.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
movie playing, and like it was an experience for sure. And I'm like 6 foot tall, and I was squashed in the seat. Like,
I can imagine.
Right, and so like, okay, really exciting travel adventures. I love that. And so what would you see the benefits are in traveling this way?
We meet the people.
That's the benefit. We meet the people in that country, and it is so fun to just smile and get out our translators, whatever we can, if we need to, and just communicate.
And we do what we want to do. Right. You know, we're in control. If you're on a tour group and we don't do those, there's nothing wrong with those. If that's the only way you're comfortable traveling, you should do it.
Yeah.
But if you're comfortable stepping out of your shell and experiencing it, we just have so much more fun because it's just what happens. I mean, we had so many things on this trip that we had not planned and were some of the greatest things we did. We just drove in Bali. We were driving up to the mountains with our $50 a day car and driver for 8 hours. It was like unbelievably great. And he'd do anything we wanted. And we're going up the mountains and we see this sign says, Happy Swing. We said, whoa, what's that? So we just turned around and we go there. There's nobody there but it's a business, and they're up over a cliff over the rice paddies, like 100 feet at least. I don't know how far below.
More than that.
Yeah, a whole lot further than that. And they had these swings, just like a regular swing, but you were strapped in, and they just kept pushing you out over and over. And then we just thought, wow, this was the most fun, and it was totally unplanned. Right. You just have to be prepared to experience what comes in front of you.
Yeah.
And be willing to say, let's try it.
Let's try it.
I like that. Yeah, let's try it. I mean, I mean, you're so right. If you had been on your tour, you might have seen the sign, but you can't stop. You just have to keep going and wonder what it was. So yeah, I think it's great. I think immersing yourself in the culture is definitely just a big benefit of traveling this way, and also the experiences that it brings you. Absolutely. And so, okay, you're very seasonal travelers at this stage. So any travel secrets or hacks that you couldn't do without?
Well, the one travel secret that I have had ever since I started traveling is anyone who travels with me, every morning we take 2 tablespoons or 30 cc's of Pepto-Bismol on an empty stomach, and that helps to coat your stomach so that you don't get that traveler's stomach problem that many people get.
That is a great one. That is a very good one. Yes, I will be using that for sure.
Yeah. Then we also just say pack as light as you can, because you can pack and then go back and take out more because it's just hard to lug around your luggage. So even 80 days, we just had one check bag, and it never weighed the limit.
And one carry-on. That even little Sandy could lift up and put up in the overhead carry-on.
And of course, one thing that made our trip so successful was our online booking of hotels.
Right.
And we used booking.com. They should hire us because we could be phenomenal spokespersons for them. But seriously, when we're looking for a hotel, we have the number one thing we look for is location. Number one, you must be in a good location. If you're in a bad location, you're just out there with nothing. You can't go anywhere, or it's too expensive to take a taxi or whatever. Location is number one. Rating is number two. So we look at on Booking, and probably most online booking agencies, they're rated like 1 to 10, 10 being obviously the highest rating. We generally would not stay in a place below an 8. So now we've got our location, we've got our rating, and then the third thing is the price. Then we check and see, okay, what which one fits our budget the best. So sometimes we got below budget, and sometimes we had to go above budget. But it all equaled out because our average hotel was $29 a person a night.
Wow.
For the whole trip.
It's incredible. Yeah. I'd say the UK wasn't. I'd say the UK drove it up, maybe.
Yes,
UK was over our budget.
Mm-hmm, it was.
But
Cairo, Egypt was under our budget. Wow. So that was $13.50 a night in Cairo, Egypt, with $1 million view. You go to the rooftop of this house we were in that had turned it into kind of like a hostel hotel, but everybody had their bedrooms and everything. But when you go to the rooftop, there were the pyramids. Just
wow.
You can watch the light show.
$13 a night.
Yeah. So, and with breakfast.
Oh yeah.
With breakfast.
Bread and butter and jam, but that's breakfast. That's breakfast.
Food.
So anyway, so those kind of offset like that. When we had countries where accommodations were just too much more than our budget allowed. And
so you use booking.com. Is there any other apps or websites that you'd recommend when traveling?
Well, we did a we did a round the world ticket with One World Alliance. And that was wonderful. That One World ticket allows you 16 segments, 6 continents, 16 flight segments, 6 continents, and you have to circumnavigate the world in one direction, cross both oceans. So they have lots of rules. We went in and selected all of our flights and then turned it into them. And they said, yes, and it worked. And
so then when we would get to a continent or a country that we wanted to go to other places, we used airline miles that we had saved up.
Very good.
Sure.
Very good. That was a smart way to do it. One World Alliance. I'd never heard of those. That's good to know.
Well, it's it's American, British Airways, Qatar, Qantas. That's the ones you have your travel miles with and things. But they'll offer the United one, who's in Star Alliance. They offer one too, but it was harder to navigate and figure out their system for us anyway. So we use the One World and there's a set fare.
Right.
And the fare is according to what country you originate from. And then, of course, once you turn in all your flights, there's taxes according to what cities you're flying through.
Gotcha. Okay. That was a good way to figure it out. It's very, very, very cool. And so, okay, you didn't just go to the well-known destinations, like in Europe and Rome and Paris, etc. You went to like really, interesting, places that would bring a lot of adventure. I know you went to Easter Island and the Antarctica. I saw you went through the Drake's Passage. I was like reading that and watching, just being like, I couldn't cope. I would have had absolute freak out.
It was an experience. We say we were rocking and a rolling and slipping and a sliding for 24 hours.
Oh, the singing kept you going. So where was each of your favorite destination that you went to? Ellie, I'll start with you first.
Okay. Yes, I loved Easter Island. Those Moai statues, they're just magnificent. They're mysterious. Just something about that. It's such a small island, like 15 miles. Yes, it's very small. We're all over the island. It's a very remote place to go to, but one of the most fascinating things to behold with your eyes that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And for me, I loved Bali. Oh, Bali. I love flowers and pretty lawns. And Bali had, the bird park, the butterfly park, the orchid park, the rice fields. I mean, it was just one beautiful sight after another after another. Yeah. I took a picture of it and sent it to my children, and I said, do you think the gentleman that does my lawn could make my lawn in West Texas look like this?
You never know. He has an inspiration picture now. Something to work to, definitely. And so, okay, any life lessons that you've both learned along this journey, this trip that you took?
Yes. The main thing I think that I took away, and I think Sandy shares is the goodness of people.
Absolutely. That
you have to trust in humanity.
Yes.
Humanity is basically good, and people want to be a friend. People want to be kind. And we definitely can attest to the fact that there is so much goodness all over this world in the people that you meet.
Yes. I just feel it so strongly like Ellie does about that.
Yeah.
Just people are good.
Yeah, and you know what, that's so lovely to hear, because I guess all we hear on the news is, I guess, you know, bad news sells, but it's so nice to hear that from you two who have been all over the world and experienced different cultures and different peoples, and that is your true feeling, which is, it's beautiful to hear. It's great. Yeah. And so any advice you could give to people maybe watching this and they'd love to do something like this, or even just a bit of a smaller adventure maybe, but maybe you think,
Yes.
you know, that it's too late, or do you have any advice to those people?
My advice is, first, get up out of your easy chair. Step out of your comfort zone. Make some plans and live, because
age is only a number.
Yes, 100%. I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. And, you know, that's kind of part of, you know, the ethos behind international living. You know, it's doing something, you know, it's your third act, right? So like your children are raised, you get to kind of go out there and do something for yourself again, you know, which is great. I'm so glad you guys did. And so what's next for Around the World at 80?
Okay, Sandy, you tell them.
All right. So next year in 2024, we have another trip planned, and our new theme will be, we are 82.
And travel we can do. And we're going to go to we're going to start going to the continents one at a time.
Right.
So we're going to South America.
And see as many world wonders as South America has to offer.
Oh,
plus other things.
Fantastic. I can't wait to check in with you guys and
Thank you.
follow your blog and to see what you're doing. So where can everyone catch you? So you have your blog Around the World at 80, right? And your YouTube channel.
And then we are on Instagram and Around the World at 80. On Facebook, it's Sandy and Ellie. And then we're TikTok, which we kind of, when we arrived in the United States in LAX, we walk off the plane and someone runs up to us and says, "Oh, you're the TikTok traveling granny." We had our shirts on. And then 5 minutes later, someone else comes running up to us. "You're the TikTok traveling granny." So
I love it.
Anyway, so we have quite a following on TikTok.
Yeah, you've really embraced the social media. It's brilliant. It's great. Well, look.
Okay, we're going to have to get off now.
Perfect. Well, look, it was so great to talk to you, and have a fantastic day. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. It's been great.
Thank you.
And there you have it, another episode of ILTV. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Be sure to hit the subscribe button below, turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on any future videos, and join me for next week's episode.